Uh, my story and my journey, it's very similar to maybe most of the people who are here. I come from a place called Devipura, which is in the Anantnag district of Kashmir Valley. While I was growing up, I think my school was around half a kilometers away from my home, and every day when I would go to my school, I would keep on imagining in my mind. So once I grow up, once I become an adult, what am I going to do? Sometimes I would think that I'll become a doctor. Sometimes I'll think I'll become an engineer. Sometimes I thought maybe I'll become a I.A.S officer, because I'll become a divisional commissioner, because those days divisional commissioner used to be the one who would issue the notifications for winter vacations. So that's how it was. But I remember very vividly every day while going to school that there was something going on consciously in my mind, that I have to do something, and I didn't know what it was. And by the time I was in class 12th, I initially got admission into NIT Srinagar. I did not join. I happened to get admission into GMC, Government Medical College in Jammu. I joined that place for some 7-8 months. Then I realizing that probably this is not what I want to do. This is not where I want to continue. I then wrote again. Those days we used to have something called as IIT JEE, used to be a separate exam. And for getting into NIT, you used to appear in AIEEE. Now the two exams are together. So I wrote the IIT JEE exam while I was in medical college, and then I cleared and joined the IIT. Now this is not a story of that I have cleared the exam. What I'm trying to say is that I realized that probably I was too confused in that period of time. I simply did not know what to do, whether I want to do this or whether I want to do engineering or say medicine. But looking backward, I think that's absolutely okay. We people tell us that we should be clear about our goals, but when we have not explored things, when we have not seen what we are good at and what we are bad at, when we have not seen where my potential lies and where my interest does not lie, how do I decide and how do I say that I'm clear that this is what I want to do? So this is one important message that I want to speak to you about, that it's absolutely all right to have that confusion in mind. It's absolutely all right in being that confused soul, jisko har koi kehta hai mission pathi kya karun. He doesn't know what's supposed to be done, because that understanding of yourself, that understanding of the fact that as humans, I don't know. In say, for example, one of the major reasons why we are bad in sports, we often keep on struggling as a country that we don't get enough medals in Olympics. The reason is that we don't explore in different countries, even in many states. For example, Haryana is doing well in, say, sports and athletics, especially because they have put in place structures where people can explore in which games they are good at. So when we have not explored ourselves, when we have not explored our interests, how do we know where am I going to be good at? I'm sure maybe many of you would have been great badminton players had some of you got an opportunity to play and try that initially. So it's very important for us as students, it's very important for us to give this chance to ourselves, to explore, to fail. हारने में कोई बुराई नहीं है. We fail each and every day. I wrote the I.A.S exam twice. In the initial attempt, I was thinking I'll get a good rank. I didn't get a good one. I was somewhere in the middle of the list. Didn't get the service of my choice. But that's part of it. The next time, probably had I got a decent rank that year, I might have been somewhere maybe slightly higher, but not at the top second in the list. I didn't do well in the first time. That gave me an opportunity to kind of work harder, to see where my mistakes lied, and then improvise on that. And probably that's the major reason that I could do better in the next time. So that's how we have to go forward. It really doesn't matter. So that was the first point that I wanted to talk about. It's that people say dare to win. I would say dare to fail. Let's have that courage to fail. Let's be quite happy about failing and losing every time. And this is happening continuously even after I have joined the service. I'm working as municipal commissioner here and also the CEO of the smart city. Sometimes we try experimenting new things and then they fall absolutely flat on our face. But that's how things are. If there is no one who dares to challenge that status quo, if we don't experiment, how do we know what works and what doesn't? जब हम कुछ चीज करेंगे तभी वो खराब हो जाएगा. जब हम कुछ करेंगे ही नहीं तो खराब क्या हो जाएगा? So that's the whole point. The another important part that I want to talk about is that it's about that balance between opportunities and challenges. हम लोग जब अक्सर whenever we talk about say success stories, we often get more blinded and more passionate or more towards the opportunity part of it, towards the challenge part of it. The person did so much despite the challenges. He could do this despite the challenges. Challenges, of course, they're a part of whatever story somebody has. But at the same times, we often neglect the so-called opportunities. There's this beautiful book called Outliers, written by this person called Malcolm Gladwell, in which he kind of dissects some of the biggest success stories of the time. And he analyzes each one of those. Say somebody's date of birth, somebody's year or month in which he was born, somebody's school, somebody's time, somebody's, those, the decade in which he was born might end up deciding the success of a person. So in our lives, it's very important for us to understand that every one of us, every person on the earth, he has challenges, he has obstacles. So there may be some things which are specific to us, but that does not make us unique. What makes us unique is our attitude towards these challenges and the weightage we give to our opportunities. Most of us, who are coming from Kashmir, whenever anybody clears an exam or whenever anybody does good, this becomes a big news. One part of the news, the reason for the news is that they're coming from Kashmir. As if Kashmir is the only place which has problems. I do not agree with that. I have been working in Rajasthan prior to this place. I have seen places in Bihar. I have seen places in Madhya Pradesh. I have seen places in Uttar Pradesh. And trust me, we cannot imagine the kind of poverty, the kind of situation people are living in. There are students, there are people who are, despite being so bright, they do not have an opportunity in which they can even think of getting into a medical college. I remember once I went to the school, and there was this girl, she knew almost all the Western philosophers. I had philosophy as an optional. I could ask her about Kant, I asked her about Descartes, and she, without fail, she was replying, she was replying to the questions. And I asked her, "Bada hoke beta aapko kya karna hai? What do you want to do?" She said, "I want to become a doctor." And she was in her class 11th. And I told her, "If you wanted to become a doctor, you should have taken science." She said, "No, I didn't know that." So that's the things. So that there's a student, I'm damn sure if she writes an exam, I.A.S exam or UPSC exam tomorrow, she'll definitely be somewhere in the top 10. But she wanted to become a doctor, but she did not know that for becoming a doctor, probably she had to take science in her class 11th or 12th. So that's the situation. You find people who are, some of the kids who go to school because you get a midday meal in the school. So some people, they go to the school because their parents think that ye ghar mein kuch nahi karte hain, let's send them to school. There are kids who are otherwise not going to school. There are some of them who get married, unfortunately, as young as age of say 10, 12, 13, 15. We know child marriage, how big an issue it is. So let's not kind of magnify and amplify our issues and our problems. We don't have. Today, clearing any examination, it's far easier than it was 5 years back, 10 years back. Koi bada masla nahi hai aaj. The resources are available online, free of cost. You don't have to spend money even for that. We did not get a daily newspapers, a national newspaper here. There used to be one date, mostly it would be a day prior of a prior date. But today it's just at the click of your button. Almost everybody has a mobile phone. You can read Hindu, you can read Indian Express, it's there. So why? Few years back, starting a business, there was a challenge. You did not have funds, but now there is not. If you want to start a business, there are so many banks who are ready to give you loan. There are so many government schemes which can support your ventures. There are so many venture capitalists which can support you in that. So where does that problem lie? Same goes for education. And now it's not impossible for anybody to get a scholarship outside. If you think you can work hard enough, you can try it. So number one, you try it, and then there are resources available. There are scholarships available. There are education loans available. There's everything available. It's there. And if we think that challenges are there, that means probably we are not kind of looking through. So it's very important to give enough weightage to the kind of opportunities we have. I believe all of us who are sitting here, we have been fortunate enough. I personally consider myself extremely fortunate. My father was a teacher, and I think whenever I used to go home after my classes, he would teach me at home. That was one reason I could do well in academics. So my whole point of saying this to you is that, just have a look around you. Just have a look around the place you live, around the in the class in which you study, and see there are people who, in comparison to whom you are far more privileged, you are far more better off, you are far more well off. And then see if we have an excuse to make in terms of our challenges. So that was the second part, that we should not give too much of importance to the so-called challenges that people keep on narrating to us. Let's look more about the opportunities that we have, and let's stop making excuses. And at least to ourselves, we don't have to make excuses to somebody else. That's as I told. So we should just, make up our mind, start trying things, start working for things. They work well and good. We fail, we learn, and we move on. There's this beautiful example of this pitcher and a football. Okay, so what's the difference between a pitcher and a football? Okay, so there's a pitcher. Pitcher means matka, for example. Okay, so agar earthen matka hamare paas hai, if we throw this down, what happens to it? It breaks. And if I have a football in my hand and if I throw it down, what happens to it? It bounces back. That's what's to be done. Let this football be an inspiration to us. We are not as fragile. We are not as, as delicate as something like a pitcher. There's this another beautiful book called Anti-Fragility, written by this person called Nassim Nicholas Taleb. So we all have heard about things which are fragile. Fragile is something that when it is anything, any object, if it's subjected to certain pressure, if it's subjected to certain tension, it kind of breaks. It's fragile. Okay, then there is another thing called resilient. Resilient is a thing which withstands that pressure. Okay, let's make resilient houses. A fragile house would be something that if there's an earthquake, it kind of collapses. A resilient house would be one which sustains that earthquake. Then he says that let's become anti-fragile. That if there are pressures, if there are these tensions, if there are these traumas, let them make us stronger. You have heard of Hydra, if you cut one head of the Hydra, 2 or 3 heads come out. Let's be like that Hydra. Let's be anti-fragile. And as humans, we have those abilities that we can be so. We often talk about हमारे यहाँ माहौल ऐसा नहीं है, पढ़ाई का माहौल नहीं है, हमारे यहाँ बाकी चीजें माहौल नहीं है. The society doesn't support. We're often judged. I believe that, who is this and what is the society? The society is people like you and me. The society is me, my family, you, your families, our relations. The people here, this is the society. And that's the kind of, on one end of the spectrum, humans and all of us as societies and collectively can become as mad, as stupid, and as vicious as probably in Nazi Germany. But on the other side, we also know that the human capabilities and the kind of empathy, the kind of passion that we can have, the kind of compassion we can have, we can become the finest of the creations, which we were supposed to be, the so-called Ashraf al-Makhlukat. So this spectrum is there, and it's for us to see, it's for us to decide whether we want to be on that left side of the spectrum, like that Nazi Germany, or on the right side of the spectrum, in the league of people who have done so much, in the league of people like Rosa Parks, in the people like Mandela, in the lines of the people like Gandhi, who have done so much for the people, so much for the society. दुनिया में बहुत दर्द है, दुनिया में बहुत suffering है. Let's not just create more. Let's kind of be that single, do that small acts of kindness, small acts of compassion, which make us better, which make us humans at the end of the day. And nobody needs that Archimedes lever to change the world. Lever hona chahiye, and we used to read that in school, that if Archimedes had a lever long enough and a wedge stronger enough that he could have actually turned the earth. We don't need that. Just by helping out each other, just by seeing, just by looking around, just by doing our bit with honesty, just by doing our part, we can actually make a place, make a world which is far better for all of us. So my best wishes to all of you, and thank you so much.